So we are here on day 3 of EULAR, on location in Vienna on the IFPA booth, and it's been a brilliant few days so far. We had lots of conversation. We're promoting the Good Care for Psoriatic Arthritis project. If you want to hear more about that and you are on site, then please do swing by. Thank you for all the support we've had for the podcast so far. I've been blown away by how many people have shown interest in it, how many people have shared it, and hopefully, guys, if you're listening to this and this is your first time, this little mini series of listening to the podcast, please do check out the back catalogue where we share all sorts of lived experience, medical professionals experience, researchers, doctors, etc. We're basically trying to bring everybody from around the table to talk about patient involvement, patient experiences, co-creation, patients as partners, etc., to basically just improve patient outcomes. We all want the same things, we've just got different challenges. So if you are listening to this first time, please do subscribe, leave a review wherever you listen, and check out the previous episodes. And I will be back soon with some more interesting conversations from participants at the Congress. So somebody I've been working with all week on the booth is Raquel, who is at IFPA. Would you tell us your role at IFPA, Raquel?
Hi, Joel, and thank you for having me at the podcast. It's really exciting. So here I'm representing IFPA, and my role in IFPA is scientific project leader. So I try to bring the scientific knowledge and sort of break it down to everyone. And here I'm mostly advocating as well for the things we do at IFPA, and also try to recruit more people to attend the IFPA conference, which is coming up in 2 weeks.
Brilliant, and we'll talk about that shortly. I believe this is your first EULAR, so how are you finding it so far?
Yes, exactly. So this is my first EULAR and the first conference as an IFPA representative. I'm from a research background, so I'm used to attend conferences, but as a normal attendee of going to the scientific lectures and getting all the new knowledge. But with EULAR, it's been really great. We get to meet, all these different people, from rheumatologists to patients to all the advocates, and it's been really, really great. And I think the booth has been quite busy, which is fantastic, and it's been so good. So far, so good.
You've certainly been great for me. Your energy is unmatched. So thank you for all the work you've been doing on behalf of IFPA and raising awareness of psoriatic disease. So you mentioned earlier that you are sort of promoting the conference here. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the IFPA conference?
Yes, so IFPA conference happens every 3 years, and it's usually in Stockholm. So we're having it between the 27th and the 29th in the very nice venue right at the Cindy Center. And we have a mix of talks. We have the scientific program where we get all the new information about the research and, with the therapies and the last advances and the news and guidelines. But then also we have the complementary program, which is very much focused also on the patients and the people living with psoriatic disease. And we focus a lot on the comorbidities, addressing the mental health and the lifestyle, and how we can, improve the people's well-being.
Brilliant, thank you. And I'm super looking forward to that in a few days' time. Is there anything you want to maybe share? Like, we've been talking obviously on this podcast quite a lot about patient involvement and shared decision making. I appreciate you come from more of a scientific and research background. Is there anything you'd want to share with us regarding like patient involvement with the scientific and the research side?
Oh, I think it's essential, and it's one of the best things about joining IFPA and doing this kind of work, that I get to meet the people that I work for. As a scientist, you usually find, just the descriptions of the clinical presentations in a piece of paper, and it becomes quite abstract, because if you don't meet the people and if you don't really see it in person, you can't relate as much. So it's been really good to sort of get the knowledge, get, what it actually feels on an everyday basis to live with psoriatic disease. So I can do my job better, because if I don't understand it, how can I represent you and how can I advocate for you? That's the point at the end.
Brilliant answer, and well done for not losing your concentration. We've sat here all day, and when we decided to record us when the dinner trolleys went wheeling past. So thank you for not missing a beat.
We just had lunch, so we were not distracted by the food.
No, we're in this very much that sleepy post-lunch stage. So this is waking us up. But thank you so much for your work, both for IFPA and also with myself this week, and being a great support, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joel. And again, I think you're doing an amazing work. I think your energy is amazing. You're really doing fantastic work. And I must say that people that come to the booth, they are very impressed by the things you're doing. And if I can say also by the things IFPA is doing. So it's a good sign that we're doing something meaningful. And just we have to keep going.
You're too kind. Thank you so much for giving up your time and for letting me twist your arm into doing a podcast with me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much.
So I'm now joined by Paul Studenic. Welcome to our EULAR booth. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful so far.
Brilliant, thank you. And could you maybe tell, for our listeners' benefit, who you are and what brings you to EULAR?
So I'm a researcher and rheumatologist from the Medical University of Vienna. So this time it's in my hometown for the first time since 20 years, I'd say. But 20 years back, I didn't join. So my first EULAR was actually in London in 2011, I think. So also quite a while ago. But EULAR is, for me, always also a conference to come home to, because over the years, I got to meet a lot of colleagues, friends, and we did a lot of work together. So I think a very important part of research is to collaborate, because you can do more things together.
Brilliant. And I understand you're quite heavily focused in terms of like patient involvement with research and things like that. Would you maybe like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I need to say it's a pleasure. I had the opportunity, meanwhile, 8 years ago, to be part of the EULAR Young PARE conference. And this is it was an interaction with young patients, and the thought behind Young PARE was to also change the image that people with rheumatic and musculoskeletal diseases are throughout all ages. It's not only those that are 50, 60, 70. It can also affect children, it can affect young adults, and they have different needs and perspectives. So we started working together on projects actually on how to integrate the young patient's perspective into certain aspects of rheumatology research. So that was the first thing that I did, really in a very collaborative manner together with patients. And our team back then was, I would say, it was nearly half the traditional researcher and half the patient research partner, I would say. And through that, I got acquainted with more and more people of the community, and I found it very valuable because also in all other research fields that I'm engaged with, I tried to discuss this and feedback with patients. And at the time, that was very uncommon. But if you do it more if you go beyond kind of the borderlines of your city, then you find out that minds are very different and open, and all these differences can be taken into account and are very helpful for how you address things. And I found the very high spirit when it comes to patient research partners actually in Stockholm. I did a 2-year postdoc period in Stockholm where the integration of PRPs was normal. There was always 1 or 2 people joining research meetings and discussing as partner. Which is not normality in every place, but is something that would be great to head into. And this is where I come more now in the presence. So actually today at EULAR in the afternoon, in the recommendation sessions, there will be a presentation of the EULAR recommendations of patient research partner involvement, the update that I was part of as a co-methodologist over the past 2 years. And the work will be presented by Martin de Witt, and he's one of the most renowned patient research partners and has done work in a lot of consortia. So I don't want to go too much into the future from the current point of view where we are. But this time we really derived our recommendations of evidence. There's still an improvement in evidence. So the field of how to really grasp and make it efficient and make it feasible, and what are the positive aspects and barriers, there's still a lot to learn over the next years. So how we can improve as a community to better collaborate. And this is kind of what is the overarching topic of it. The overarching topic is collaborative research and collaboration, not only amongst researchers, but interdisciplinary, amongst different stakeholders to, in the end, make research output better for the market, better for the healthcare system and the patients, the human beings. I mean, we are all patients and humans at the same time. Bring them all together.
What a fabulous answer. You've kind of taken all of my follow-up questions away there. They're just brilliant. So what I was going to say is and it's really refreshing as well as a patient and as somebody that's been coming to these things for a lot of years and trying to maybe get across the importance of that involvement at every step. Are you seeing a change? Clearly you are already tuned into this. I'm preaching to the choir a little bit with yourself, but are you seeing a change in terms of that becoming the norm and the standard?
It is geographically different, I would say. There is a change, yes. In some parts it is really advanced. I mentioned Sweden as an example, but also Belgium. Also amazing what I've heard from the PARE sessions that are here at EULAR. We're not. It is not standard yet in Central Europe and also not in Southern Europe. But there is a lot of fire, I'd say, in particular in different parts, independent where you look, north, south, east, west. And this fire needs to kind of be further facilitated. So now I was thinking about the fires that you usually have in the summertime in Spain and in Greece and in Italy. Probably it's not the best metaphor. But in this case, this fire is a good one. And so we would need to fuel it more even. And this is something where we need different stakeholders to really see the importance of that, because you reach on a different level to find more valuable outcomes. And this is actually what I haven't said yet. So I would say my overarching research field is outcomes research. So I'm mostly a clinical, bit translational researcher in the field of inflammatory arthritis. So my field is quite heterogeneous. And so particularly here, I see a big difference to make better results, hopefully, when you work interdisciplinary.
Just wonderful answer again. This has been a real highlight of I've been doing this for like 3 days. I've had lots of conversations, but listening to you speak about that, like I say, as a patient, as an advocate, as somebody that's been trying to campaign for this sort of thing for a lot of years, and hearing somebody that's doing it and clearly very passionate about it, I'm very grateful. So thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Thank you for hosting me. It was a pleasure.
So next, I'm joined by Rebecca Beesley of Juvenile Arthritis Research, or JAR project. Rebecca, a familiar face in front of me. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks so much for having a chat with me today.
And have you been to EULAR before, or is this your first time?
Last year was my first EULAR, and we were invited to present last year on some of the work we've been doing, and we've been very fortunate this year to have had 5 of our abstracts accepted that we've been presenting on and showcasing on posters and an oral presentation as well.
Oh, wow. So really busy, really busy. Do you want to maybe use this opportunity to tell us a little bit about either the posters, abstracts, or some of the talks you've done?
So this year we have had a talk about the awareness raising work that we do in the UK, so innovative approaches to raising awareness, and that was actually chosen for the press release yesterday as well, so that's really exciting to have been picked for a EULAR press release, and that was really well received by everyone, and I hope it inspires others around the globe really to do something to raise awareness about arthritis and JIA in particular. So that's been really great. Our posters this year, we have one on results from our JIA VRP research panel. So some of the early findings from that was looking at diagnosis and the emotions that parents and caregivers have at diagnosis. And so that's been a poster presentation we've done this year. as well as some of the findings from a research study we did amongst adults with arthritis. So looking at long-term outcomes of adults who have had JAA since childhood, and looking at things like how many of them ended up needing joint replacements, whether they're still on medication, that kind of thing. And that was in collaboration with the REN project and Arthur's Place as well.
So very, very busy then. No, you said you're still here last year, and obviously you're doing loads this year. I'm finding as I come to more and more of these, I'm seeing more and more familiar faces. I know you also have lived experience with these conditions. Could you maybe share a little bit about that and why you think it's important for us to be here and represented?
I absolutely love EULAR as a conference for really, really, truly putting patients at the centre. They give a really good example of how to do that. So the whole kind of patient community here is amazing, really supportive, and they've really thought through ways to try and make it accessible for patients and, patient friendly. So they're just such a welcoming kind of family amongst the kind of patient community here. So that's fantastic what they do at EULAR, and I think a lot of other places can learn from that, really. So I'm very encouraged by what happens here, and I hope other places learn from it as well.
Brilliant. And we're obviously here representing IFPA this week and the Good Care for Psoriatic Arthritis project, where we're basically co-creating materials that are supposed to be sort of like appealing to both the medical community but also the patient to start a conversation. I believe that's something you guys sort of covered in the past, but maybe do you want to say a few words about the importance of it being a partnership between both parties?
Absolutely. I think exactly as you said, it is all about that co-creation, co-development. And at Juvenile Arthritis Research, that is so embedded in what we do that we actually tend not to use those words of co-creation and co-development, because it is just everything we produce and everything we create. It has been suggested by parents and families, and then they're involved right from the outset in helping to create it, checking the resources, and at every stage, we kind of have that approach of working in partnership. And I think, as you said about the same kind of information and key messages going to patients and the medical profession as well, I think that's also really, really important to kind of avoid confusion and show what's really important. That's something that we do with our kind of Think JAA awareness work. We kind of have the core messages aimed at both GPs and frontline healthcare professionals, and they're the same messages that parents and schools receive as well, so that there's no confusion over, if someone's going to their GP with signs and symptoms of JIA, the GP will have seen, hopefully, that same information, or the parent can present that information that's written in a way that doctors can understand as well as the parents as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And I really appreciate you, you've got a very busy schedule and you've taken some of that valuable free time to come and share the good work that you're doing at JAR. On behalf of everybody listening to this, thank you, and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for chatting to me today. I hope you have a great conference too.
My pleasure. Thank you, Rebecca. So welcome back to the IFPA booth here at EULAR in Vienna, and I'm joined now by a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Souzi Makri. I'm the past chair of EULAR PARE, the patient community of EULAR, and also the vice president of the Cyprus League for people with rheumatism.
Superb. And as somebody that's here in a sort of patient capacity myself, it's an honour to have you join me. So thank you so much for giving up your time. What are you involved in this week in your capacity and your links to EULAR?
Yes, I have been involved in the PARE sessions, and we've had some really interesting ones. I was also a speaker yesterday, and I spoke about the EULAR Manifesto and the invisible visibilities, because this is how rheumatic diseases are seen as invisible. And I'm also here as a patient research partner. I'm an expert patient. I work with various consortia in research, and we are, I don't know if you are familiar with the term, but our work is to convey the patient perspective into research and help the researchers work on various projects. And I am also a patient research partner on this project, the Squeeze project, which is about biosimilars and how to optimize their results as treatments. So I have been quite easy. I've been easy, actually.
I imagine the week has flown by for you, so thank you again for giving up the time. This might seem like a bit of an obvious question, but for those who maybe are not aware of the value or the importance, could you maybe explain for you why patient involvement and patient presence at these things is so important?
Yes, it is very important, the patient presence here. We have our topics which are of interest to our community. So on various topics. So that's very educative for patients, and it's a chance to educate themselves and train themselves. But also it's very good for networking. Here we meet researchers, we meet rheumatologists, they meet us, they get to know us, they get to know our work, and we are connected. So in case there is an opportunity for collaboration, they know where to find us.
Brilliant, thank you. And is there anything you've seen this week or you're working on that you'd like to share, that you'd like to tell people about whilst you've got the opportunity?
I think there are lots of opportunities here for patients. We've had some really good sessions at PARE, and I would just encourage patients to join if they can, to have to do some abstracts so that they can come to the conference. Everything is quite interesting. Even some scientific sessions are really good. So there's a lot to learn.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for giving up your time, and enjoy the rest of the Congress.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
So the seat opposite me at EULAR has been filled once again. Would you like to introduce yourself for the audience?
I'm Katy Antonopoulou. I am PARE committee member, work leader of CO working group, and internal and external public affairs member. I'm also president of Sjogren's Europe, general manager of Hellenic League Against Rheumatism, and general management of Rare Diseases Greece.
Wow, that is some list. I feel like we're not going to be short of things to talk about here. So do you come to EULAR regularly?
Yes, I'm come to EULAR every year. And because we're working very close with EULAR and EULAR PARE, as a PARE committee member and working groups member or leader. And I'm participating in many consortium or advisory boards or projects.
Amazing. And obviously we're here promoting the importance of patient involvement and informed patients. I'm guessing, given those list of titles you just gave, that's something that's close to your heart as well?
Yes, but the most important for us and for us patients as PRPs, involvement in clinical trials or projects is to close the gap between the needs and the perceptions of a doctor and the perceptions of the patients, and that means very much because we have to close the gap. The perceptions are totally different.
Yeah, I agree. And is there any sort of particular thing you're promoting or thing you're working on, or maybe a project back home you'd like to promote whilst you've got some attention?
We are just working right now a project in Greece and in Agora. Agora is Agora Federation of Rheumatic Diseases Associations of Southern Europe, about training the HCPs and training the patients what they have to know in order to close the gap about these perceptions. That because this will lead to the very good shared decision making.
Brilliant. And I noticed that there seems to be more and more of us sort of patients and lived experience at these events. Is it a trend that you are seeing? And maybe you could tell us why you think it's really important for us to have representation at these medical conferences.
the representation of the patients and the representation of the participation of patients and RPs in these congresses are very important because we have the chance to communicate with the researchers, with the HCPs, and explain to us that their perceptions about what we're feeling, it's not correct. They have to hear to us because we know our body, we know our pain, and we know our disease. So we are not only numbers, we're human beings. So they have, in order to have a very good treatment, holistic treatment, they have to hear to us and they have to cooperate with us. And of course, from the other side, it's very important for us because we're still learning. We have to learn. We have to be experts in order to be real and to be capable to communicate with HCPs and other stakeholders.
So agree. Finally, because like I say, I'm here representing a project called Good Care for psoriatic arthritis. What does good care look like for you? What's the end goal? You've mentioned patients being involved. What would the dream be, I suppose?
The dream could be the holistic therapy, the holistic treatment, because as General Secretary of Hellenic League Against Rheumatism and Agora and Calypso, which is psoriasis patients, I see that psoriatic arthritis either is a comorbidity of psoriasis or versus VIA. Psoriatic arthritis is cause psoriasis. And I see that nobody cares about the holistic treatment. When you have psoriasis, go to the dermatologist, they give you a treatment, and that's all. When you have also psoriatic arthritis, go to the rheumatologist. They give you their treatment without caring what is your treatment for psoriasis, without caring what is about your mental health. So the best treatment for the future is the holistic treatment. We need the treatment of mental health, we need the treatment of all the diseases, we need a team. Psychotherapy, psychologist, treatment of the doctors, not one per one. And to communicate between the team.
That feels like a really powerful place to end. I think anything we add there would probably take away from that really important message. So thank you so much for giving up your time to sit down and talk with me briefly, and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you very much indeed for giving me the chance to speak.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.